everyone, welcome back. We are on our last song covering our Midtown Music EP. I'm here with our worship leaders from our family of churches. Let's go around and do a quick introduction.
Hey, I'm Catherine with Midtown Two Notch.
My name is Jay Hendricks with our downtown church.
And I'm Andrew Flowers with our Lexington church.
So far, we've heard from music that Catherine wrote, that Jay wrote. On this last one, we're going to be talking to you, Andrew, and the song that you lead wrote for this EP, Haven.
That's right.
And would love for you to give us the backstory on that.
Yeah. So back in 2018, I believe it was 2018, we started this thing called the Songwriters Collaborative. And so it really wasn't primarily for writing church music. It was really primarily for just space for songwriters in our family of churches that want to write songs to be able to get songs across the finish line.
Yeah. Not Christian music, Christians making music.
I genuinely, you say that as a joke, but here's the thing. I actually, one of my favorite quotes that, I think I brought it up in the first week that we ever did Songwriters Collaborative was from C.S. Lewis. And as much as that is just super funny, it is in that direction. So the C.S. Lewis quote that really, I think personified a lot of what we did in Songwriters really well was, he said, "I believe that any Christian who is qualified to write a good popular book on any subject may do much more good by that than any directly apologetic or Christian work. What we want is not more little books about Christianity, but more little books by Christians on other subjects."
Yeah.
And so it was like a ton of what actually came out of songwriters were just good songs.
Yeah.
And like a lot of them were Godward, and a lot of them were just good songs written by people who live their lives in a Godward direction. And I think that actually lent itself well towards like some songs actually came out that were like, oh, this is actually a corporate song, right? So like this is actually something that is pushed in that direction. And even so, like, man, writing for the church is such a small target.
Yeah.
Right. It's such a small target to try and fit everything into that box. And so, you know, even if songwriters are listening or watching this stuff, it's like, just write songs.
Yeah.
You know, don't feel like because you're a Christian, it's like, well, I got to write worship music.
Right.
It's like, just write good songs.
That's right. That was one of my prompts. So, you know, I said this in the first episode, but, you know, I had all these voice memos and no prompt to do anything with them.
That's right.
To finish them, to get them to the finish line, to actually play them out or record them or just have the song finished.
Yeah.
And I knew that other friends were in the same boat. And so particularly I knew Matt Crawford was probably doing the same thing. I knew Kim Walsh was doing the same thing. I knew Melly was also doing it. And so it was, you know, and Nicole, and there ended up being, you know, 4 or 5 other people in that room. And it really was like, these songs are a blessing to me.
Yes.
And almost none of them are something we would sing on a Sunday.
Correct.
But they're still a part of our life.
Yeah.
And that's been a big drive for me, is to encourage what you just said. Is I want to encourage our people to write songs, to make art, even if it's not this perfectly pinned up sermon. I don't want it to be.
Yeah.
You know, I that doesn't feel genuine. And even the whole, like, are you Christians in a band or are you a Christian band? Yeah, one of my favorite kind of quotes around that was John Foreman from Switchfoot got asked that like in the 2000s or whatever. And, you know, bands were just putting these like whole words around it. It's like, well, we're like Christians, but we're not Christians in like whatever. And it's like, we're not a Christian band. It's like just so many things. And John Foreman just cut through it. He was like, anytime that my name or band is associated with Christ, I see that as a win. And it was like, yeah, that's awesome. So like Switchfoot is not writing these worship songs.
Right.
He has written some.
Yeah.
We played one this past week.
Sure.
but the majority of his art is about the Christian life or about the life.
Or seeing the world through the lens of God has radically shaped how I see everything.
Yes.
So when I make art, it doesn't need to necessarily be a cross.
No.
It can be something entirely, but I'm looking through the lens.
That's right.
And it doesn't have to be overt and explicit.
And so it's cool because that was
18.
That was 2018. We started doing that. And then, most of the stuff that I write isn't for Sunday stuff.
Yeah.
But I've been able to put out, 2 records over the past
kind of
3 years. Yeah, 3. Yeah.
Listener of Midtown Midweek. Intro music.
Just check the intro.
Be very familiar.
But, for that, it's been cathartic for me to be able to write those songs, to play those songs out, and to share those moments with other people who have heard them in our city and in our church family. But then also, Kim is putting out an album in the next few weeks.
Yep.
And Matt Crawford is putting out an album in the next few weeks. Yep. And they are going to be blessings to our city. And they're not sermons. They are songs about life. And I think that everybody's going to be able to relate to them. And I'm just really proud of them for pushing through on that and making that art. And I think paving the way, hopefully, for other listeners who are interested in creating art and putting that out.
That's right.
And just doing it because we need it.
Absolutely.
And I think it frees people up to be like, oh, God is the creator of good things. And so he's doing a good thing in me, and creating is pleasing to him. Even if it's not Jesus saved my soul, but talking about other ordinary things that God is as much involved in.
Yeah. And I think for so long, I would write songs and get halfway through them and be like, well, this isn't going to be good enough to record, so I'm going to stop. Or this isn't going to be good enough to play on a Sunday, so I'm going to stop. When it's actually, that's such a small target that it's but the whole goal is not just for Sunday stuff.
That's right.
And this could be a blessing. I remember one of the things we talked about in one of the first songwriters things was one of my favorite Columbia songwriters. He was playing a show and he was doing requests. And I was like, will you play this one song? And he said, oh, Jay, I don't remember the words to that song. And I'm thinking, I listen to this song every single day. Yeah. This song means so much to me. And the person who wrote it has probably listened to it less than I have. Yeah. But it's been a blessing to me when it's you don't know what the Lord's going to do with whatever art you're going to create. And you probably will never know the full impact of that. But it doesn't mean it's unimportant for us to finish and share in the communal space.
That's right. That's right. So, that was the whole idea of Songwriters Collaborative, and that not just a space to be able to learn about songwriting, but a space to actually provide some accountability with songwriting too, of hey, we're coming back in 2 weeks and you got to bring something. You got to bring something.
Have that pressure.
That's right. Or some pressure, but for everybody that was in that room, songwriting is not their job. Mm-hmm. It's something that they want to do, but it's you're not going to get fired if you don't do this. But because we're doing this thing together, it's bring something. So
some accountability too.
That's right. So Haven was one of those songs that I brought. I hadn't written it before, but we were supposed to bring in something for that week. And I forget if there was a prompt for the song that we were bringing in or not.
But even for you, you weren't I feel like I remember talking to you about when I in my free time, my brain is going to songs and melodies and I'm voice memoing and writing stuff down. And you were like, I don't do that.
That's not me.
That's not how I think about it.
Yeah, that's not me. So I went into college thinking I was going to be an engineer. So that is more of how my mind works. And so I needed that kind of prompting of you need to sit down and write a song, because that's not necessarily how I process with the Lord. And that's not how I process emotion. And so, but it's still a good thing for me to work in and practice in. So I had heard this quote from the church father Augustine years even prior to that. But the quote is, our hearts are restless until they find their rest in you.
Yeah.
And that was just such a vivid picture for me. And, even back in 2018, prior to a global pandemic, it feels like we're living in an age of anxiety. It feels like we're living in a country and a culture that is just absent of a lot of rest. And a lot of people's hearts are restless and looking for something, looking for someone to find rest in. So that was the whole idea. That was the whole idea behind the song. And originally, I wrote it to be kind of in a plural voice. So I wrote it as the quote was written, like, our hearts are restless until they find their rest in you. And so, originally we wrote it in kind of more of a minor, sad, not necessarily a sad feel, but the verses are more towards we're in need.
Yeah.
We're tossed by every wave, right? But you are faithful. So, Jay, I think you even have some of that original of the first verse that we can listen to.
We did a few different takes on this before taking it to Zach, songwriter, to kind of help us flesh it out. And so this was kind of the first take. This says 2020. So
classic.
Yeah, there's some good bass lines in here. Thanks, Nick, for that. But they might be coming through. But yeah, I'll play that just to kind of get a feel for the first verse and chorus.
We are fickle people tossed by every wave. You are faithful, God. You always are the same. Formed from dust and dirt, you molded in your hand. We were pieced together for a greater plan. You weave the fabric of our soul.
I forgot about that pre-chorus.
Pre-chorus.
Only in your family we find home. Made for you. We're made for you. Father God, you made a way. We find haven in your grace. Our hearts are restless till they rest in you.
Yeah, so that, I mean, I felt like, I took that demo and I was like, all right, let's try to flesh this out. Let's beef it up a little bit. But I just felt discontent on how the chorus, what we were saying in the chorus, and then even how we were navigating through it. And we kept dinking around with it. But even trying to force a circle into a square, it was like, we want, when we're writing corporate songs, to be very communal.
That's right.
So that's why it was like, how do we get to the we's?
Yeah.
We, us,
Sure.
our.
Sure.
Because I think that most of our songs are lacking in that.
That's right.
But anyway, so we had this idea. Felt like we really got it as far as we could. I even created this long ending of halftime, just
Layered vocals, everything.
going over the top of each
wild.
other, which is fun. But it was like, this isn't really getting to the heart of it. And so
That's
we're
right.
able to take it to Zach and just get kind of a fresh perspective on it. He kind of helped us pull out what we were trying to say
That's right.
without as much kind of filler, or I don't know. He was able to put a tone to it.
That's right.
Certainly,
And
the demo feels more instrumental than the previous demos
Sure.
we've listened to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, we were trying to move the song along, right? So I got other people involved and tried to get instruments around it. And it really did feel like, okay, so the chorus kind of feels like it's a pre-chorus with some fat in the middle. And then the last line is the theme of the song. So we know that that's it.
Yeah.
And that was like the line you kind of started out with.
That's right. That's exactly right. So that's what I started with. That's the theme of the song. That's what we're trying to get to. And so, we have the the demo that Zach sent back. So what you'll hear in this is, so it's changed from plural to singular. So it's from we language to I language. The verses are much less minor chords, so much less kind of sad sounding and much more major. And then what he did with the chorus, which was really, really smart, is he took the "We're Made for You's," which is like, oh, this does sound like a pre-chorus. Mm-hmm. So he kind of moved it up and kind of fleshed out some of the chorus with what was already kind of existing in the song, but it's like it just feels more fleshed out. So
I think even listening back to that demo, I haven't listened to it in a long time. I loved the words of you weave the fabric of our lives, but I just hated how like churchy it felt and the chords and everything. Only in your family we find home. It was just like, this feels too cheesy or too cookie cutter.
That's right.
And there's something there, but I'm so glad that we kept that weaving and piecing us together for the verses. And anyway, so I'll play that demo that Zach sent.
I can get so lost, tossed by every wave. And you're a faithful God, you always are the same. Formed from dust and dirt, molded in your hands. I was pieced together for a greater plan.
Felt like we were trying to do too much in the original pre-chorus.
That's right.
For you. I'm made for you. My heart, it gets so restless until I rest in you. I keep looking like I haven't found the truth. Thank you, God, that you don't change. I find haven in your grace. My heart will rest in you.
Yeah.
I've noticed with each of his takes on y'all's songs, sort of pulling it back a whole lot instrumentally to let the melody and the lyrics shine forth, which seems to like then jumpstart y'all to sort of like take that next of final polish.
Oh yeah. Right. Oh yeah. It's simplified, but you keep all the strong parts and you build around it. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's so, we've talked about it with Jay's song that he wrote, Heal Our Hearts. It's like, you look for the bright spots and it's like, okay, how can we get back to this direction? So, I was really thankful for that. And I keep looking like I haven't found the truth. It's like, the lines that I don't write are usually my favorite. It's like, man, that's so good. It's a great line. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great line. But yeah, so it was really great. So we took that from Zach and demoed it out some more, and really were able to take it to Kenny from there. So I've been really blessed by the song, and even it's just starting from a quote from an ancient church father that I really enjoy, and being able to see it come to life in a different way is. Yeah, it's been really neat. Yeah, it's been really neat.
And I feel like since changing it from like minor and feeling pulled back, it was like more of like a hopeful of like, oh, this will come to pass at some point, whether in this life or the next, of like, you're going to be faithful through the end, and talking about like, we are fickle people and like talking about our brokenness and weakness. It's like, but you're faithful, God. And it's like a hopeful, like, my heart will rest and your haven is your grace. And so super cool.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed just in our conversations that I think is so cool is the common denominator of you're processing through these truths on your own. You create something, bring it to other people, and they speak into it, and they offer really charitable feedback and critique to then create something beautiful. And I can't help but think these are sort of the values that our church, even in our life groups. These are things that we've been sort of instilling, even aside from creative, imaginative art, of just honesty and vulnerability and speaking into it. So I love that this is the fruit of our church family. Really going after it.
And I think something that like I've learned in working with A-Flow and Jay specifically in songwriting, and I think it's very easy to like place your worth or like, this is me that you're critiquing. And it's like, no, like we're doing this for the greater good of like those listening and like unraveling ties that you put into what you create.
Yeah.
Cause then it's more freeing to like make it more about the listener and not about the person that's creating it. But it's like, okay, how can we point people to the creator of this? And
well, I think even like one of the practices when we did the songwriters collab was, and I had to set it up every week. It was like, all right, this is what we're doing. If you don't want feedback on this song, do not play it. Because we want to give feedback where you're looking for it.
That's right.
So, and then we had to learn how to receive feedback. We also had to learn how to give it. So it was like, all right, everybody is going to have a bright spot. I really like that one chord you did. You know what I mean? And so it's like, there's always going to be a bright spot and then something that you can work on.
That's right.
So as a listener, if you've been given the freedom to say, hey, I want your feedback on this. Did you get bored at any point? Because I want to know that and be able to receive that in a way that isn't offensive to me. And that's going to be for the betterment of the song. Even if it's not a song that's going to be on a Sunday or even that you record, if you're playing a song for someone, you want them to be engaged at least on some level.
That's right.
And so anyway, that to me, the communal aspect of songwriting, is kind of a new idea, because I thought forever it was you write a song and you just got to fake your confidence through it
and hope people
like it or act like you don't care if people like it or not. And so and there's certainly space for that of like, no, I wanted to create this and this is mine. But I like having the space of being able to text people like, hey, I have this chorus. Is there anything here?
That's right.
Because I'm in my head on it. So anyway.
And it helps you it helps you grow. It helps you be a better songwriter.
That's right.
So it's like, even if that song in particular, it's like, here's what you can work on. And you work on it. It's like, this song isn't necessarily the best thing I've ever written, but the next song you write,
it might be. It might take from
That's
it.
right. That's right. That next song is like, oh, I remember this from, whatever. So
that's right. Yeah. And it even to kind of hopefully give a preview for future songwriting is one of the songs, Greater Than, that we didn't end up recording, came about, and Zach helped work on it. And one of the parts that I really like about the song didn't end up being in the final version.
Right.
And I told Zach, I was like, that's totally fine. I want to write a song with this part that we cut because I really like this part. I know it doesn't fit in this recording, but I want to figure out how to make it work.
That's
because when we led it at our church, it really did work. And so, I mean, even part of that is like, instead of forcing a square peg into a round hole, it's like, actually now instead of having a song that doesn't work that great, we're going to have two songs hopefully that do work great.
That's right.
So you're exactly right.
I was going to ask, as far as Midtown music, songwriter stuff, I know you've been driving this creativity in our church family. Like, what are things sort of in your mind that you want to continue pushing forward with?
So something that I want to start soon, if possible. I'm also going on sabbatical in the fall, so I won't be here for that. But I want to help our church family have space to interact with art that isn't just on Sunday or isn't just Sunday specific. And so I think we all benefit from worshiping through experiencing art, even when it's not buttoned up perfectly. And I think that the big church has done somewhat of a poor job of encouraging and cultivating that space. And probably because we've seen a lot of bad, quote unquote, Christian art. So it's like, I'm allergic to it now and I don't want to be a part of it. But one of the things that I want to do in the next few months And we're going to do this with Kim, her record, and Matt's record. But in August, do a show with them where they get to play those songs, but then also talk about the songs. And we get to hear, this is where this song came out of. This is why I wrote it. And we get to hear that and then experience that from the life of a believer, from the songwriter out of their life, and getting to see how they interpret it and what God's doing through it. Right. And I think that's an important thing for us to cultivate and have space for future songwriters, to kind of pave the path in some ways for future songwriters and artists in general. And so that's something that I want to cultivate, and hopefully in the next few months we get to see some of that, experience it.
Yeah.
I love that. So you are going to listen to Haven now. That's going to be released on Spotify and iTunes on Friday. Search Midtown Music, and we hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
I can get so lost, tossed by every wave. And you're a faithful God, you always are the same. Formed from dust and dirt, molded in your hands. I was pieced together for a greater plan. And I'm made for you. And I'm made for you. My heart, it gets so restless until I rest in you. I keep looking like I haven't found the truth, but thank you, God, that you don't change. I find haven in your grace. My heart will rest, my heart will rest in you. When I turn away, I've never been fulfilled. And when I turn to you, there's deeper treasure still. Weaving love and mercy, growing day by day. You thread into my soul a tapestry of grace. I'm made for you. And I'm made for you. All I am is made for you. And all my days I'm made for you. My heart, it gets so restless until I rest in you. I keep looking like I haven't found the truth, but thank you, God, that you don't change. I find haven in your grace. My heart will rest, my heart will rest in you. My heart, it gets so restless until I rest in you. I keep looking like I